You're welcome to join us here in this rather attractive crypt as we bring together some of England's most inspiring teachers to find out who and what inspires them. Today, they're talking about pupils.
Pupils, of course, are the raison d'etre of the teaching profession, and they can have a profound effect on the hearts and minds of teachers.
If adults had to deal with some of the issues that children that we all work with do, we'd be on antidepressants, we wouldn't be coming to school at all. I think those are the most inspiring children, just the ordinary everyday children who, the girl who finds a way to show you the marks on her body without actually being able to say, somebody did this to me, or the boy who said to me his mum was late picking him up from school because she had to go to hospital to see her brother who'd been stabbed. And I said, oh my God, is he all right? He went, yeah, he's not dead. As though that was part of his life. And that is what lots of them are coming from. And the fact that they can sit there day after day after day and learn and make progress and enjoy reading.
You're giving them the stability, aren't you?
Exactly.
That they perhaps lack, in other areas of their life, perhaps at home or in friendship groups, and you're giving them that belief in themselves, and it's such a wonderful thing, really. And often we're so busy, we're messing about around school, and it's having time to stop and sort of think and reflect on, actually, God, I've made a massive impact, and little things will happen, or big things will happen, and it makes you sort of think, gosh, yeah, more than the job's worthwhile, but this pupil, has really, either made fantastic progress or come up to you and said something, what a great lesson, or I've really enjoyed that, or they've brought in an amazing piece of homework that you wouldn't expect. It's little things that you can't, and it just makes you stop and think, wow, it's just incredible,
There was a boy who, his junior school never spoke at all, and once he came to secondary school, he had terrible behavioural problems, and in the end they sent him down to the farm which I run, and he used to tag along with me, and I do a lot of work with other schools showing people around the farm trail, and he came along but didn't say anything, and I didn't twig till after one particular visit that he'd actually overcome a problem and started speaking, and the culmination of that is he now takes those tours and chats to teachers and pupils alike. He's sort of taken over. He's gone from one extreme to the other. So just giving something that he felt comfortable with, and certainly the presence of the animals and the plants, it really, something triggered in him, and that made me think, well, if it can work for him, it can work for all students, and that's what I'm trying to encourage now in my teaching and in the outdoor classroom, as I call it. I see everyone from 3-year-olds in playgroups through to adults doing smallholders courses. I do a lot of vocational courses, but a lot of young people these days have very low self-esteem. We label them too early in life. We give them this test and that test. And once you see them getting a grip of something and seeing that confidence bounding through them, that inspires you as well, because you realise you can impart that confidence to young people. And that's going to carry over to the rest of their lives in whatever they go into.
I think it's the can-do effect, isn't it? It's the realisation that suddenly goes on in their mind that, yeah, I can do this. And you as a teacher feel, okay, you can do it and I can do it, and we can move forward with this and we can learn some new skills. And just a point that Howard just made about giving new opportunities to children. We recently took a group of my Year 5s to Legoland, and my school's, it's in a city, it's in a deprived area, and just giving the children that simple opportunity of going to a theme park they'd never had before, and the reaction was just, your kids, you're not aspiring to be bad role models, you're letting your hair down, you're having fun, and it was lovely to see that opportunity for them and to give that to them.
Where I teach, it's a deprived area, and the main problem is low pupil self-esteem, or it has been over the last few years, and we've been through the special measures, rigmarole, we've been through Ofsteds every other week, you know, and the pupils are sort of almost on first name terms with the inspectors, you know, that sort of situation. But from the ashes, if you like, can rise the phoenix, you know, and it's like, it sounds sort of very cheesy, but it's that phoenix of success, if you like, and a belief that we're all in it together. So the pupils are sort of working almost in your pockets with you, and they can see your self-esteem improving, if you like, as a teacher, because they can see that you're under the
we're human beings, aren't we? We want to feel we're succeeding.
They're in it with you.
And if you see a young person
they're in it with you.
and you're giving a praise culture and you can see them physically growing in front of your eyes, that's going to give you a big kick, isn't it?
It does.
Because that's what we're all about, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
It's that teamwork.
You need to get that excited about teaching.
You do, yeah.
Absolutely. If you're not excited, you can't inspire your pupils, I don't think. And I do get genuinely excited.
Oh, yeah.
When they're inspired, when they move forward, when they're doing something new, when they've got this can-do. I can do that.
Yeah, it comes down to acting, doesn't it? We were talking about it earlier about, you know, no matter how you feel in the morning, you have to go in and be positive and put on this face for them.
You're like on the stage all the time.
You are, absolutely.
You may be teaching something very basic. You may be teaching problem-solving strategies, for example, in mathematics, and you know full well that somebody in your class is thinking about, I've got to go and visit X in jail later today. And I've got the utmost respect for those children. How can they possibly concentrate on anything when they've got issues like that they're bringing from home?
Absolutely. Because I remember teaching a class how to use the connective moreover, because I kept on using it wrong, and I was thinking, God, is this really important? You know, that in their lives, are they ever going to use that word anyway? But you have to keep on.
It's little steps sometimes, isn't it? It's people who haven't been used to concentrating and listening, letting someone else have a chance to speak and reaching the stage where they can. I'm thinking of an incident of people who are very nervous. I'm thinking, in my unusual background, of a group of students actually injecting sheep, and one little girl, very, very nervous, watching the others do it. I cajoled her and she actually did it, and there was a spontaneous round of applause from the other students, and you could see her visibly lift and think, wow, I'm the same as all the rest of them now. It's just things like that that inspire you as a teacher and make you think this job is the best in the world.
It's not about, are you a level 3 or a level 4, or are you the best in the class, or can you do these SATs tests and whatever. For me, although obviously, you know, we are governed by results, and we have to just make it totally relevant, totally fun, before the results. And I always say fun comes first and then the learning will happen, you know, but it has to be relevant and it has to be real.
And I'm sure your inspiration comes from seeing the improvement in whatever level of academia those students have got.
That's it.
That's where our inspiration comes from.
Now, in the teaching universe, on the other side of planet inspiration is the huge dark planet of frustration. Have there been times and examples where you've felt the opposite of inspired by your pupils, Johnny?
The first term I sort of had the shake, really. You know, for the whole of the first term it was like a shake. Can I get through this? Can I get through this? And then it became a challenge to me. You know, I just thought, no, bit by bit. I always remember about 3 months into my first, in my first term, one of the very naughtiest girls that I'd taught, and she was in my form, just came up to me and went, "Here, oh, Mr. Reilly, safe, sir." And she sort of like tapped my knuckles, "Safe, sir," which was like, God, it's like, God, they said safe to me. Like, you know, which means like, you know, you're all right, sir, you're all right. And from that moment on, I thought, well, you know, I think we can get there, I think we can get there.
Have you had moments in your distinguished career, Howard, where you've been on the despair side rather than the inspired side?
Yeah, I think we'd all be lying if we didn't say that we'd failed with some students, and you have to accept that. I mean, I've had people who've done very well practically, and then come the exam, they've not turned up, or they haven't completed a coursework folder, and one of those people, I'll tell you one example, one particular lad didn't arrive, so I went round to his house and knocked on the door, and Mum came to the door and said, and I explained why I was there. She said, "Oh, I'll call him." She said, "Mr. Wood's here," and he said an expletive in a loud voice, and I was actually sent up to his room, and he hid under the bedclothes. But the long and the short was, after 5 minutes, I went down, and he came down later, and I took him in for his exam. But there are always with people who you can't get through to, because you know, young people are maturing and they'll come to it eventually, but if you've been a role model for them and your expectations are always high, very often even that so-called failure at that age will come back to it eventually. And I've had examples of that, of people who've come back and said, well, you were right, really.
Yeah.
You know, but no, there'll always be people who slip through the hoop, and it hurts, but you have to expect that. I think
I'm quite intrigued to meet the child when he's grown up, who when he was in year 3, he was about 7, and they had to write down the 3 things they wanted to be when they grew up. And his first choice was a pimp, second choice was a cleaner, and third choice was a prison warden. When he was asked if he knew what a pimp was, he said, yeah, it's somebody who looks after ladies. So I'm quite intrigued to see whether we made any inroads or whether he will achieve those aspirations when he grows up.
Simon, what about you? Have you got an example of somebody that's perhaps challenged all your skills as a teacher and your tolerance as a person?
Well, I'm fairly new to the profession, so I haven't got a major depth of experience. But there's certainly been some issues this year with children. Again, it's coming from the backgrounds they come from, and just having that lack of respect for teaching. In a sense, it comes from their parents. You know, their parents had bad experiences with teaching, and the children of the view that, yeah, do you know, I'm not gonna have a good time at school. And it goes back to what you said about keeping it real, you know, and keeping it at their level, and them knowing that, do you know, you're all right. You're a fairly good bloke, and that you're safe. Yeah, you know. Absolutely. And it's a very gradual process. It is a drip feed, and so far this year it seems to be working. You know, I've got children who, instead of wanting to be gangsters, you know, actually, you know, I'll do a bit of maths today, and we'll have a bit of a good time, because it's all about. It goes back to what you said about being on stage. You know, we'll have a bit of fun. But we are going to learn. It's a process. It's not a destination. You know, the destination is years down the track. We'll just get there slowly. Yeah.
And it's also about the relentless buoyancy that you have to have as a teacher, no matter if you're trying to be dragged onto the surface.
It's difficult to sort of weigh up the difference between sort of sanity and madness. I mean, I think I am completely mad, and I think the kids do. But I think if you can sort of enjoy the madness, you know, and hopefully not let it become into depression, because obviously it's a serious problem in the teaching profession, isn't it? You know, the pressure of everything, and whatever it is, a third of teachers do suffer from depression, and we all feel down, I suppose, at times. But it's just about thinking about the positives all the time and not letting yourself get put off.
From this discussion, it's clear that there's one person in the classroom who never stops learning, as pupils offer a kaleidoscope of challenges and inspirations for teachers. Well, that's where we have to leave the subject of pupils for now, but the conversation will continue, so I hope you can join us next time.